Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. My guest on the show today is Jenna Quentin, and today we're talking all about how to create great social media content and do it and not go crazy in the process. Jenna has her own digital marketing agency, content creation agency, where she teaches chiropractors how they can create amazing content, or for those that don't want to do it, they can delegate it all to Jenna and then she'll do it all for you. She is a Kansas girl with a really great accent, and she describes herself as a crunchy mum of four. I think that means that she's really into health. She believes deeply in telling stories, building relationships, and empowering people to take action. I've been watching Jenna's content online over the last 6 months. She's incredibly generous with what she shares. The action tips that she shares are fantastic, and she just loves us as natural health practitioners. In today's episode, we talk about why your success is really all about planning rather than trying to do it day by day. Taking some time out each month and planning your social media is the very foundation of where your success will come from. We'll talk about some of the tools that Jenna uses in her content creation. We also go through some of the biggest mistakes that she sees practitioners make. These are really simple to fix once you actually know what they are. We talk about also how you can ethically look at other people's content, borrow, model, steal, but do that in a way that's totally cool. We don't have to be coming up with everything ourselves. We should be modeling what other practitioners are doing also. We also had a good chat about the importance of giving it time. Social media success, and this being lead generation for your practice, is not going to happen overnight, and it's why most practitioners give up on it way too early. Once you get enough momentum going forwards, it's a fabulous strategy of building know, like, and trust, and having people in your community eventually get on the phone and call you as well. So we also had a fun chat about what posts get the best engagement. That's the kind of thing that the social media platforms are looking for. If you really struggle with your content creation, if it feels overwhelming, you're stuck for ideas, then you're going to love this episode. Let's go and talk with Jenna.
Welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast, where we guide natural health and wellness experts through the pitfalls of marketing. Each episode, you'll learn simple, effective, easily actionable, and heart-centered marketing strategies. And here's your host, Angus Pyke.
Jenna, welcome to the Marketing Your Practice podcast. How are you?
Great. Thanks for having me.
I'm super excited to have you on here today. I have been observing from afar the great work that you have been sharing, I think almost since your Instagram account opened. And I was really intrigued in that lots of people get on social media and they start with great energy and it disappears, sometimes after a week, sometimes after a month. The quality of the work that you're sharing and your energy, the authenticity, the value of it just continues to grow. So before we get into all of that stuff, can you give our audience a little bit of a background story? Like, what got you to doing what you're doing now?
Yes, well, you're so kind. I appreciate all of the support and encouragement. So what started was I've been a writer and done that as a freelancer for 13, 14 years, and thought that I could just kind of write for everybody, and had done that for a wedding venue, for a chiropractor, for different people, had done it for websites. I was in journalism, mom's blogs, and had just really done a lot of writing. And then I have friends who are chiropractors, and the more I talked to them, the more blog posts I wrote for them, the more passionate I got about it. And then it really took off from there, of deciding to really niche down in the last few years into just working with chiropractors, so that all of those word choices and all of that content marketing could really be specific to chiropractic. And it fits so well with my holistic lifestyle. I have 4 babies that were born at home. I was a vegetarian for many years. It just all really fit with who I am.
So let's tell a little bit about the 4 babies too, because you're saying before, so it's 4 under 11. What age are they?
Yes, 11, 9, 5, and 2.5.
Oh, that's a busy house.
It is.
So, so a lot of the work, so some of the work that you do now is that you actually write for chiropractors and help them with their content creation. So, and you have a course that's coming out really soon too. Yes, in February.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
No.
So what my business Adjust Your Media really has two parts, in that some chiropractors really want to delegate their content creation to me, and I'm happy to help them with it. And some of them want to do it in-house, and that can be just really valuable to pass those skills and training on to
Mm.
chiropractic assistants and doctors. Maybe it's a family member who wants to take care of that. So I really do both sides of those. And yes, I'm going to do group coaching and a course coming up here in February.
Right. Well, we'll get all into that in a little while. What we're going to talk about today, which I'm super excited about, is really how to go about creating your content and not going mad in the process.
Mm.
I think now most practitioners are getting to understand that they really should be constantly sharing helpful content with their community. It's, whether they're doing it or not is another thing. And one of the biggest hurdles that I hear come back to me is about time. I'm busy with my family. I'm busy with my practice. I want to have a personal life. And I didn't become a chiropractor so I could be creating social media content each and every day as well. Now, there is a way that you can do all of these and not go mad. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Yes.
Yes.
Let's dive into it. How do we pull all this off and maintain balance, but still have a really effective, high quality social media outreach?
So I think one thing that is important is just planning ahead. I think that we think Instagram means it's going to be instantaneous,
Mm.
or that someone just sits down and writes 1,000-word blog post, but really none of us just sit down and pump out all of this content all at once that just goes onto our feeds immediately. So planning it out. With my clients who I am doing their content creation, I'll take a 15-minute phone call. So if we take that idea in-house, if a team or even just a chiropractor or wellness practitioner sits down and plans out their month in advance, I like to do a month, because then you can kind of have a theme going, or you can have a weekly theme, but you can kind of have something cohesive
Mm.
happening. And I like to do it a month in advance. So right now I will have the next month in some part of the process. And in order to get those ideas, I really like to look at what is that month actually. Is it a national awareness for something? Are there holidays? Are there birthdays on the team? Just kind of make it relevant to that month, and then fill it in with all of your other content ideas as well.
Mm. So can we brainstorm a month? Let's say that this episode will be coming out perhaps close to February. So let's brainstorm February
Yes.
as an idea. So what kind of themes could a practitioner have for February? And given that, let's just assume that, so over here in Australia and the Southern Hemisphere, we're still in summer. And so it's great there. And then you guys over there are still winter based. So what are some themes that we could have that you might be sharing with your clients?
Yes. So in the US, I know that February is a heart health awareness month.
Yes.
So that is something that we can highlight. Also, there's Valentine's Day.
Yes.
So having that and being able to maybe make that even a personal post, whether it's about how you met your spouse, or a pet that you love, or your grandmother who you love dearly, being able to just add a little personal post in the month, so that you have some of that like, know, and trust factor going. I would also say, um, if your social media is something that you've done for a while, maybe look back at last February and see what was something that you did that worked well, and maybe take another spin on it. I would also do something fun this month, or coming up in February with my clients. I'm doing a series of why we love. And so then they can talk about their specific niche, why we love adjusting newborns, why we love our town, and they can talk about what is fantastic about their community. So just really having a lot of fun with it. And then I do like to sometimes pull in some frequently asked questions. So if you have a team, or even just with yourself, going through, what have people asked me lately? Or what have they said in the comments? How can I pull some of that in too, so that you have a month that is not just centered on heart health, but you have something that's kind of varied and natural as well.
You've a couple of suggestions that you've put inside there. There might be some listeners that are thinking, what's Valentine's Day got to do with chiropractic? And why would I share about how much I love my nan or my husband or wife? And then why would my community be interested in why I chose to practice in Port Melbourne? You talk about personal posts. Lots of practitioners kind of shy away from those. Why are they important?
Because people want to know that we are real people and not just a plain vanilla blank slate. If they wanted that, then they would go into any office. So realizing how different, and it's something that I love about people and stories, and that I got from journalism too, is how wonderfully diverse each person's story is. So letting that shine through. If you are a practitioner who's close to the beach and you practice mostly barefoot and in a beachy vibe, we want to see that, and we want to know that. We want to give people that view into your office so that they're not coming in expecting someone in a white lab coat if that's not you. So planning out the month, though, I think really helps to make sure you've got a good ratio going, because if everything is personal posts, then that's clearly missing the mark as well.
I think I've noticed a real shift in that lots of brands now are becoming personalities, and a personality is a brand. And I think, perhaps one of the biggest brands in the world, Amazon, if we said to people, who's the head of Amazon? Most people will be able to say it's Jeff Bezos. And then if we look at, Tesla cars, and we all know about Elon Musk, and that the days of a brand just being a logo. And if we look at perhaps a more older established brand, if you said like, well, who's the head of McDonald's? I'm like, I don't know who the head of McDonald's is. But lots of these newer brands now, and I really agree with you that I tend to see practitioners do either one way too much. They're either always posting just helpful content of here's how I can help you as a chiropractor, which is really great. And I think if you're going to choose one, do that side of things there too. But if you're always posting, yourself out having breakfast and going for a walk with a dog, it doesn't show me how you can make a difference to my life. And that's why I really loved, little things like you talked about before, the why videos of why I chose to be a chiropractor, a naturopath, why I chose to practice in Port Melbourne. We like doing business with people. And I think these types of content really help to share that sort of stuff there as well. So we've got our theme, which is heart health, and we're noticing in there that there's kind of Valentine's Day as well. How often do you think that we should be sharing content?
I think that it depends on what you can do consistently. So there's larger offices that have several doctors, and they can, help delegate out bits and pieces. And it seems like, well, yes, then they can post more. For smaller offices, it's what you can post consistently. I think for Instagram and Facebook, if you post 3 times a week, you're doing a really good job. I think that it really depends what things people are wanting to focus on, because things like stories, whether it's Instagram stories or now we have more Facebook stories, those we really want to post on every day. If you have a blog, and some chiropractors, like, it's a blog is really a long game. It's not, that SEO doesn't build up instantaneously. But if you are posting on your blog regularly, whatever regularly means, you're going to do better than if you post once every 6 months. So I think all of that is just consistency.
Yes. If you're planning out, let's just say that you're planning out somebody's content, and they're wanting to post, let's say every day, weekday, Monday to Friday, so 5 posts. How long does it take you to plan out somebody's, so let's say there's 4 weeks, it's 20 pieces of content. How long does it take you to plan that out for a practice?
I will spend 15 minutes talking to the doctor and really getting that. I will probably spend 2 hours writing, maybe less, 1 hour, 1 to 2 hours writing. But some of that content is also what I have heard called sticky content,
Mhm.
which is going to be quotes and all of the things that say, oh, leave an emoji if you agree and things like that. So some of those don't take very much time, but
Yes.
I would say altogether, probably maybe 5 hours
Yes.
to do for a whole month.
Yes. So when you kind of think that out, what I want our listeners to kind of think about is, and I ask them a question, are you prepared to spend 5 hours a month on your marketing? And if you're
Mm.
not, then I'm going to question your commitment to your community. Like, I mean, how badly do you want your practice to grow? And I would also, and I know this might sound a little grumpy and say, if you're not prepared to spend 5 hours on your marketing, then pretty soon somebody will come into your town who will be prepared to spend that time. And so it's not, and my experience even with it too is that with something as simple as making a little 1-minute video that I talk about a lot,
Mm.
once you get the skills enabled to do that, then even if you are, and I wouldn't suggest you do this, but going kind of day by day, 10 minutes a day, like you've got,
Yeah.
okay, great. I just got this great question in there. A patient was asking me about, when's the best time for me to do my exercises at first thing in the morning, evening. Answer that question, shoot it on a video, pop it up there. Once you get good at that and understanding how to use your phone, which is all that you need to do, and the right kind of editing bits and pieces on there too, that's less than 10 minutes. So it's not, there are a lot of excuses that we come up with that really, when we take a step back and look at them, they're probably more excuses around us being scared of being seen, looking foolish, not knowing how, all that kind of stuff there too. So how do you help doctors get over some of the fear of sort of putting themselves out there if you're wanting them to show more personal content and stuff like that?
I think sometimes it's easy for me to go back to numbers, and I can say, well, let's try this. I'm a big fan of testing things and realizing I don't know everything. So we're going to test a few things. Let's see if we do this strategy for a month. Let's see if you post a video of an adjustment, for example, and let's see how it does. Because then the results um, are numbers, and we can see, well, that reached that. We, like, maybe we did a back to school video that was 20 minutes long, conversation, and I can say that video reached 800 people. If we had 800 people show up for a class, a workshop, we would be thrilled.
No.
So
Yes.
all of those people heard this, learned this. It doesn't matter as much to me if someone comes in and becomes a patient from that specific video, but 800 people heard health and heard hope. So when then they see that, when they put themselves out there and they tried it, and they can see, wow, it actually was okay. Because I think a lot of doctors are wonderful educators, and once they warm up and start talking and having a conversation, they're like, oh yes, this is just me educating people.
Mhm.
And then realizing that social media content, email newsletters, all of those things are just a megaphone so their voice can be louder.
I think too, I love that point, because even if you took that 800 people and you said it was 10, but most practitioners, if you said, listen, I can put 10 people in front of you for you to share this 3 to 20 minute message, would you be up for that? The vast majority of people go, hell yeah. Like, I ran a weekly workshop in my practice for the first 14 years, and I would do it for one person happily, because I knew
Mhm.
the long-term investment that would have in their health and the sustainability of my practice, all those kind of things. Yet I kind of, it frustrates me sometimes to hear practitioners saying, I did that video there and 5 people watched it. I'm like, dude, that's 5 real people. We forget about that on social media. It's 5
Yes.
real people stopped and gave you 3 minutes of their time and watched your video. Like, that's magic. Do that again, and do that again, and do that again. And this is the challenge there too. How do you, I want to talk a little bit more, because often the return on social media isn't immediate, and it's not as measurable as I did that video like you talked about before, and then I had the phone ring. How do you encourage practitioners to keep at it and let them know that this is the long game? What are your models for explaining that, and what are your suggestions to kind of keep them hanging in there?
Yes. So I do encourage people to give it 6 months
Yeah.
as a large. a fairly large chunk of time to see growth and to see progress. And then I like to point out the little things that are happening, um, because you can have someone comment on a post and tag their friend and say, "This is the doctor I was telling you about." And then that friend says, "Oh, yeah, I should make an appointment." And then the doctor can chime in and say, "We'd love to have you. Here's our hours. We offer a free consultation," whatever it is. And to help them celebrate that and to say, "That's huge.
Mm.
We're making it easier for your referrals and things." So I like to find whatever I can. I talk to my clients monthly to say, "Here's a review of December. Here's a review of January. Here's the wins that I saw. And here's the things that we can celebrate." I do look at metrics and I write down all of the analytics. So, because those numbers are good, they don't mean everything, but it is good to see, okay, you grew by 40 to 50 followers this month, whatever it is. But just taking all of that with a grain of salt of what can we celebrate? I also want to hear from them when they say, "Oh my goodness, the people around us are so excited about this." I had people who were coming into the office who have been talking about our, 7 strategies for health series. So both of us celebrating those wins, and just, I think a monthly check-in is a really good thing, whether it's a check-in with yourself, with your team, with your social media manager, to just see what can we celebrate.
Mm. How do you have some other ideas that you could kind of share with our audience to help them come? So they've decided it's a heart health month or whatever works best for them, and they've got a few bits and pieces. What are some other spots that somebody can go to for inspiration for content? Have you got any suggestions?
I do think that if you are following other doctors that you enjoy, and I like to save posts that I enjoyed and be like, "Oh, we haven't talked about forward head posture in a long time.
Mm.
Let's put that in the cycle for coming up." Those kinds of ideas. But also, I think a lot of times we want to take a shortcut of finding something that's just ready that we can just repost. And sometimes that works well. I would say for like Instagram stories, to share someone's post and just say, "They made great content. This is a great post," into Instagram stories. But a lot of times it's better to just go on an app like Canva and make your graphics. Maybe you saw graphics that you liked, but they're in the totally wrong colors or wrong mood or something. So to make your own, to get your own photos, whether it's photos of the beach or the woods or nature or something from your phone, or photos from your office that you have taken. Um, if you really kind of have those three of having professional pictures and your phone pictures and graphics, then you really kind of end up seeing that, oh, you've kind of got something for everything. If you want to talk about a topic that you don't have a photo for, putting in something that's a little bit more neutral is I think better than getting something that is completely unrelated to you, completely off brand. So it can be faster to feel like you can go and find something, but I think sometimes it's actually faster and better to just create your own.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that one of the marketing investments that people should make is paying a photographer to come into their practice and take a whole bunch of photos of them, and not kind of, professional against the wall headshots, but photos of them working, engaging with their staff, their patients, those kind of things that come up so beautifully. And then along with that to get one of your staff members, because the photos that come from our phone nowadays are so great as well, to take a whole bunch of kind of candid photos as well. And they will capture the attention much more than any of the kind of stock photos that we might get as well. I also want to touch on that point, because so many practitioners don't want to copy. They see somebody else do something great on forward head posture, they're like, she's already done that, I want to do that. When you do it in your voice and with your mannerisms and the way that you communicate it in your practice with the way that you look, Even if you virtually copied them word for word, it's a different message. It's totally okay. There's a great quote that came all the way back from Picasso into Steve Jobs that, talks about, great people copy, but when you copy and then you add your spin on top of it there too. So I want to really encourage people, you should be out there following other accounts that are in the same, whether you're a chiropractor or naturopath, follow the same, but then also look outside, is there a cooking channel that shares stuff in a way that you go, that's really cool. How could I do that as well? So don't be scared to do that. I want to talk with you. You mentioned Canva before. What are some of the tools that can kind of help us get a really professional looking content creation process up and going, as well as kind of speeding it up? What are some of your favorites that you use and recommend?
Well, I do like using Canva. For video, I use an Android. So I like an app called InShot, and I'm pretty sure it's on iPhone as well.
Yes.
And um, I do have limited time. I also have limited brain cells, so I can't learn an app that's too complicated. I really don't want to learn too much extra stuff. So those are both very intuitive to use. Canva you can use on a computer as well, so that's helpful. Right now, I have used scheduling apps. Right now, I'm using one out of the UK called Content Cal, like Content Calendar from the UK. But that is because I have multiple calendars that I need to see. I do think that sometimes having a sheet of paper, just having a calendar and marking it all down can really be the best way. Using Facebook Creator Studio is a great way to do it. It's just very simple. There's no fuss and frills there. I will say some people have started getting an actual calendar view on Creator Studio for Instagram. And I'm hoping that they keep working on that, because you can't click and drag and drop. So it's a little basic, but I think that some of those things where you can schedule in advance are very helpful, but you can just use Facebook's Creator Studio. Let's see what other things. I really try to keep it pretty simple.
Yes.
I do have my paper, and heaven help us if I lose it, but even just notes on your phone. I keep a lot of ideas for posts on the notes of my phone.
One of the things that, talking about kind of notes on your phone and stuff like that, sometimes I've found it helpful to, if I'm putting a caption in underneath a photo, I'll often type it out of my notes at first, because it's easier for me to edit in there, to add spaces, emojis and stuff in there. And then I'll just kind of cut and paste that across as well. Engagement. We keep on hearing about the importance of engagement and creating content that encourages our audience, our community, to want to interact with our posts. What kind of content have you seen gets the most engagement with your clients?
I think the posts where we remember that we're just all human. Sometimes I can get really insecure and I want to write something that sounds really good and really academic. And I'm not a chiropractor, but I can write really well. And actually, those probably are not going to be the posts that get the best engagement. The ones where, like you said before, it sounds like us. The ones where we're making people laugh, where we're evoking emotion. I really find that if I'm writing a caption, if I think about three things, if I make sure that it has a hook, so kind of thinking about, put your journalism hat on and think about that headline. So Instagram has the little, like one sentence before you can click read more. What will make people read more? In newspapers, they call it above the fold. It's called the same thing on Instagram. And even on Facebook sometimes, where you don't see the whole post. So what's our hook? Can we say maybe it's a juicy confession, maybe it's a question, maybe it's calling somebody out saying, this is who we're talking to. We're talking to moms of small children or something. What can we say in that hook? And then just all of that storytelling in the middle. Can we use our five senses? Can we use really strong verbs that really call people and make them think and listen. Because I think about, like, if I say that my niece was walking awkwardly, we have no idea what she was doing. But if
Mm.
I say she waddled, we know immediately. So thinking about that in our storytelling, and then telling people, just having a call to action wherever it is in our caption, but telling them what we want them to do. Um, I tend to be in my conversation very subtle. Nobody knows what I want. Nobody knows what I'm trying to get them to do. So it's really surprising sometimes to realize people have to be told
Mm.
what to do. You think, oh, of course they would want to save this post. No, tell them, save this post. Tell them on this email, hit reply to this email so that they know, oh, wow, I didn't know I could reply to this email. I thought it was something where I couldn't. Or on a blog post, tell them, share this with another mom who has a baby with colic. Just having those three things, having a hook and a story and
Mm.
a call to action, really makes content of any shape or size more engaging, especially, like you said, combined with all of those great photos and graphics.
Mm. I think as a general rule, if people are looking for some guidance, go for curiosity. What will
Mhm.
intrigue a bit of curiosity with that first sentence of the post there as well. Great marketer Jay Abraham he says that people are dying to be led, and that
Mm,
I think sometimes in an effort, and I really love this about particularly natural health practitioners, is that we don't want to come across as being pushy or needy or sleazy at all. And so we really, we deliver this great content, and then we get to the crescendo where we should be telling them what to do next, whether it's as simple as asking a question, tag a friend, or call the practice. And then we just either leave it or we get super awkward in some way as well. And I want to, if you're delivering great content, if you're delivering value, then it's a disservice not to tell them what to do next. Like
right.
you're missing something there of like, okay, where do I go from here next? You need to help somebody on that journey there too. So, I really love that you said that too. You mentioned something before, which I'd like you to kind of expand on, is that social media is not just for new people in your community to try and attract them into practice, but that some of the practices that you work with, that their existing patients are saying, yeah, I really love the focus of this month. How important is social media for keeping our existing patient base engaged?
I think that it's phenomenal because, if we think about, if we are only posting changes in our hours, um, then how often, like, even for the algorithm is going to see, wow, you never post and nobody's ever interested.
Mm.
So posting so that when we do share vital information, like the weather is bad today, we're closed. Um, it's a really helpful piece of information for patients who are going to come in today. But if we have shared good information that maybe they didn't need when they came in before, like maybe now they have a baby,
Mm.
maybe now they've had a car accident, maybe now they've had something change in their life where the information that we share online is helpful to them because we haven't seen them, we didn't know what they had going on, or maybe it's in their extended family that they have
Mm.
something going on. And I think that that is a really wonderful thing to just remind people. I know that you came in because you were pregnant, but this is also the benefits of health for your whole family, and introducing them to ideas and topics that are beyond maybe what you talked about when they came in.
Yeah, I think that's great. It never ceases to amaze me that, I'll have a patient that I've been seeing for years, and then they will say something like, "You see kids? Wow." Or, "I didn't know that you could help headaches," or, "I didn't know that you could help shoulder pain." And I think so for that reason, we can continue to remind them of how we can be helpful in their life. But I'd also kind of want to remind our audience too that it's a really busy world out there, and there are businesses that are really vying for the attention of your patients, of your existing, I don't want to call them customers, but of our patients. And if we're not remaining front of mind for them, it's really, people get busy, they get distracted, they miss an adjustment. All of a sudden it's been a month or 2 months. One of the great things, and I actually think the greatest value of our social media is to keep us kind of in contact. And we've noticed here that, during some of the lockdowns that we've had with the shenanigans over the last sort of 12 months or so, it's been a really wonderful way for us to continue to add value to our patients, to, keep a conversation ongoing with them. And many of the practices that have not had email addresses, social media presence, any of that kind of stuff, were really lost. It's, they had a really hard time, keeping on top of that as well. So I want to remind people, this is not, I think the most powerful part of social media is actually keeping you kind of engaged, with your existing patients as well. Jenna, what are some of the bigger mistakes that you see that practitioners are making with their content creation?
Yes, well, I think that one of them might be, we see funny cartoons, we see funny memes and things, and we think, oh, I'll just share that, and then my content is done. So kind of a mistake of not making any content and just thinking that we can keep sharing and we'll keep the feed alive somehow. I think also, and we've already talked about why making our own content is important there. I think also forgetting that all of this, even when we're making personal posts, is about them. It's about our audience. And what ways we can make it about them, whether we're asking them a question, whether we're saying, have you had this experience? Whether just how we're inviting them into the conversation, and is what we're sharing a value to them. So it can be a sweet personal post to share about the doctor's birthday or something, but how are we also adding value in the majority of what we're sharing, so that people have a reason to come back, and so that we're giving them some inspiration. A lot of times I use the example of there is a young mom in her closet somewhere around the world right now, and she's on Instagram. She's scrolling through her phone, and she's probably eating fair trade chocolate, and she's hiding from the kids for just a minute on Instagram. Are we going to show up for her, or are we going to let her just sit there and cry? So, if I share a post that doesn't bring value to her and she sees it, how have we helped? How have we made her laugh, or given her inspiration, or shared something that she didn't know? So even in a post about Valentine's Day, I'm going to say something like, maybe it's tell us how, tag someone who you love, or maybe it's an inspirational quote for Valentine's. And maybe we say, tell us your love story, or, put an emoji of your loved ones, because then they can include pets and all kinds of fun stuff. So always trying to make it about them and not us is, I think, one of the mistakes that's easy to do. And I know that I have done many posts that were not focused on others, and that's okay. We keep growing, we keep learning. But I think too, there's so many little things that we can learn about social media and content. So just keep growing, even if it's uncomfortable. Try a reel. If it's uncomfortable, figure out guides, figure out hashtags. It'll be okay. There are people here to help you. So just not being willing to step out a little bit further and do that video or do that new thing.
Yeah, whatever the next step. I think, as a general rule, when we're posting, if we think about that, I want this post to either educate, to entertain, or inspire. Like is it doing any one of those kind of things? And we can add elements on that. If you happen to be, sharing a picture of one of your staff members' birthdays, and you guys, celebrating with your birthday hats on and stuff like that, we could do that. And we could add a little sentence just in the description that just says, sometimes it's important that we stop and we come together as a community and laugh. When was the last time that you laughed with somebody? And something, just a little sentence like that too. And One thing I'm kind of passionate about at the moment, I'm talking lots about with my coaching clients too. Sometimes we can be paralyzed by trying to make every post either an Academy Award winning video or a Pulitzer Prize winning kind of post there too. Sometimes some of your posts are going to be gold and some of them aren't. They don't all have to be, you'll go through moments of inspiration when you're creating them. And so I want our audience not to be paralyzed by that too. So, just get the content out there. And as you talked about before, Jenna, some of them will be winners. We'll learn from some and we'll kind of just move on with it as well. Let's talk a little bit about the course that you've got coming up in February and how our audience, where they can find you and how they can work with you as well. So tell us a little bit about what's happening in Feb.
Yes, well, thank you. So yes, in February, I will be launching some group coaching and I'll be working through the course that I have. And it's 12 units of really going through from A to Z, with content marketing and specifically with Facebook and Instagram, who I see as really the big business cards, if you will. If you, instead of handing out 5,000 business cards, if you have a good Instagram profile, that is a good business card. So I will be doing that with a group, but just with a fairly intimate setting so that I can be giving lots of feedback and all of that. And yeah, it goes through from setting up your Instagram course, your Instagram profile, to adding the things like hashtags, looking at your analytics, writing captions, getting engagement and how to give engagement, because I really do want people to, after you've planned it all, you still do have to open the app and engage with other people. So talking through all of that. And where you can find me, I'm on Instagram at Adjust Your Media. I also have a Facebook group that is Adjust Your Media, chiropractic specific social. Need to work on saying that. And both of those are where I just love to give a lot of value. I think on my Instagram link, I have a free Chiro Instagram for Chiros PDF on my profile link right now as well, for just giving lots of tools and lots of help, because I know we're all trying to, like you said, entertain and educate and inspire.
Yeah. Jenna, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I'm really excited about you and your course. And if your course is anything like the free content that you give out in terms of teaching and sharing, and you've done such a great job of, I feel like I've seen so many pictures of you and the boys in around your little river or the lake that you guys kind of go to. And then that great mix of who you are personally, hearing some of your story in terms of your love of health and the importance of that, all the way through to here's how to do a reel, put a guide together, those kind of things like that as well. So at the very least, gang, make sure you jump on and you follow Adjust Your Media. Yes. I'll have links to all of that stuff in the show notes as well. Jenna, thank you so much for all that you continue to do. And I look forward to hearing of the great success of your course.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It's been an absolute pleasure. See you soon.
Alrighty, thanks. Bye.
If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you have to come and check out the Community Influencer Program. It's my monthly coaching program where we take all this material and I'll work one-on-one with you to apply, implement, systematize, and help guide you and your practice to the next level. Now you can join me on over at adiomedia.com/join. That's adiomedia.com/join. I'd love to see you in there.